When my first daughter was born, Christina, she was able to stand from the very first day of life. But because I was atheist, I tried to argue people away from believing in God. So that was the condition of my child. She was dying. Her body was suffocating. So the only way I could pray was to pray, "Oh God, if you are there." And I made a deal. I made a promise. I asked God if He saved my daughter, and then if He guided me to the religion that was most pleasing to Him, that I would follow. My parents were Quaker, so technically Protestant, but they raised my brother and myself both to think for ourselves, and they never indoctrinated us into the religion. We were raised in a scientific household. My father was a very well-respected visual neurophysiologist. He himself, although he called himself Quaker, he openly stated that he did not believe in God. He used to tell us quite frankly that he just believed after death it was just blackness, nothing, that was the end, namely the Big Bang. Throughout my schooling, up through college, medical school, and so on, you know, we were raised to believe that that was the only thing that made sense. In 1990, my second daughter was born. When my first daughter was born, Christina, about 10 months before, she did something I had never seen any child do before, and that is that she was able to stand from the very first day of life. I'm a medical doctor. I understand that that is something that a newborn baby is not supposed to be able to do. But I didn't see it as a miracle, something charming about this child, but I guess I didn't get the message. I guess the message had to come to me twice. So, 10 months later, in 1990, my second daughter, Hannah, was born. Now, Hannah was taken directly from the birthing room in the hospital to the neonatal intensive care unit. And at the time, I didn't know why. They did not tell me. When I found out that my second daughter was blue, I was very concerned. From the level of her chest down to her toes, she was a dusky, the only way I can describe it is a gunmetal blue. This deep, deep, dusky kind of blue. We took a cardiac ultrasound. It showed that she had a coarctation of the aorta. Now, the aorta is the major vessel that comes off of the heart and then sweeps down to the rest of the body, carrying all of the blood for the body from the chest down. And a coarctation is a critical narrowing in that artery to almost nothing. So that was the condition of my child. She was dying. Her body was suffocating. My expectation was that my daughter would have the surgery, survive a few years, need to have the surgery again to replace the graft as she grew, and eventually the graft would fail and she would die. I left the intensive care unit. I went down the hallway. Because it's an intensive care unit, there's a prayer room nearby. Now, I remember very clearly walking into that room and praying for the first time in my life. I had never been in the position in my life where I faced a situation that I felt I couldn't handle it. When I went into that prayer room, I remember one thing hit me right away, and that is that it was just a prayer room. There were no crosses, no crucifixes, no statues. There were no religious symbols at all. I used to be atheist. In fact, I tried to argue people away from believing in God. At that moment, I realized there was nothing I could do. There was nothing in my worldly power to help this child. Oh God, if you are there. I don't know if you're there or not. If you are there, I need help. And I made a deal. I made a promise. I asked God if He saved my daughter, and then if He guided me to the religion that was most pleasing to Him, that I would follow. I had been away for maybe 15 minutes. I walked back to the intensive care unit. When I entered the unit, the doctors were huddled around my daughter. When I walked in, they looked up at me. I could see something had changed. When I saw this miracle, I realized I had made a promise, and the last thing I wanted was to die with that promise being unfulfilled.